She trusted him. But she was so wrong. She thought she knew him. From the way he smiled to the gentle way he spoke, everything about him felt safe.
Trustworthy.
For months, he showed up in all the right ways: thoughtful texts, surprise visits, even helping her mom fix the kitchen sink when no one else would. Friends said she was lucky. Her family started to believe it too. And deep down, she wanted to believe it more than anything. But sometimes, the people we trust the most are hiding the darkest secrets. It started with little things. A lie about where he was one evening. A strange message she caught on his phone. At first, she brushed it off. Maybe she was overthinking, being too sensitive. That's what he told her after all. And he always had a way of making her doubt herself. Still, a feeling began to grow. Something wasn't right. Then came the night everything changed. She found herself in a place she never thought she'd be, questioning every moment, every promise, every smile he'd ever given her. There was something he never told her. Something big. And when she found out, it shook her to the core. What he had hidden wasn't just about lies. It was about betrayal on a level she never imagined. This isn't just a story about heartbreak. It's a story about trust, about how easily it can be given, and how painfully it can be broken. She gave him everything: her time, her care, her loyalty. But he was never who he claimed to be. And on that cold evening, when the truth finally surfaced, she realized he never truly loved her. What she did next will leave you speechless.
Stay tuned.
They met in the most ordinary way, through a mutual friend at a birthday party. He wasn't flashy or loud. In fact, he was quiet, a little shy even. That's what stood out. While others tried to impress, he simply listened. And when he spoke, it felt real. He seemed like the kind of guy who wouldn't play games. She was tired of games. Over the next few weeks, he made an effort. Long phone calls that lasted past midnight, small gestures that showed he was paying attention, her favorite coffee, the song she once mentioned in passing, remembered and played during a long drive. Slowly, she let her guard down. After years of disappointments, he felt different. Safe. Her friends loved him. He was polite, helpful, always around when someone needed a hand. Her mom even said, "He's the kind of guy you marry." And for a while, it felt like everything was falling into place. But behind that calm smile, something was off, something she couldn't quite see yet. The first real crack showed up 3 months in. He stopped answering calls late at night. Said he was tired. Then there were weekends he suddenly had to travel for work, even though his job didn't seem to demand that kind of schedule. She noticed how protective he was about his phone, always face down, always with him. Once, when she picked it up just to check the time, his expression changed in a way she'd never seen before. Still, she gave him the benefit of the doubt. She believed love meant trust. But one evening, while scrolling through social media, she came across a photo, blurry, in the background of someone else's post. But it was him, at a bar, laughing, sitting way too close to a woman she'd never seen before. She told herself it was nothing. A coincidence. Maybe a cousin? A coworker? But the uneasy feeling refused to go away. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her heart was heavy, her mind running in circles. She wanted to believe in the person he had shown her. But now she started wondering, who was he really? Why did everything suddenly feel like a puzzle where the pieces didn't quite fit? What she discovered next would change everything. But at this point, the lies were only just beginning. The next few days felt strange. He was still the same on the surface, texting her good morning, calling her after work, even dropping by with her favorite snack like nothing had changed. But now, every word, every smile felt like it had another meaning. She couldn't unsee that photo. That woman. The way his hand rested casually near hers. It was small, but it felt intimate. Too intimate for someone who claimed to be stuck in a meeting that night. Instead of confronting him right away, she started paying more attention. Not snooping, just observing. Noticing how his stories didn't always match up. How he got defensive over simple questions. Like when she asked what his weekend plans were, and he answered with a question of his own. "Why are you asking?" It was subtle, but enough to raise her guard even more. Then came the night she met Tara.
It was completely by chance.
She was at a friend's dinner party when a woman mentioned her boyfriend's name. The same name. Her stomach dropped. It couldn't be a coincidence, could it? Quietly, she asked to see a picture. And there he was, smiling, holding Tara in a photo that looked like it belonged in a frame, not hidden away in someone's phone. She didn't know what to say. She felt her hands go cold, her chest tight. The room seemed to blur around her. She excused herself and walked outside, trying to breathe, trying to make sense of what she'd just seen. Was he seeing both of them? For how long? Did Tara know? But instead of confronting either of them, she did something else. She played along. She needed answers. Proof. She didn't want to be gaslit or accused of being crazy when the truth finally came out. So she started asking gentle questions, pretending nothing was wrong, keeping her voice calm while her thoughts ran wild. And slowly, little things began to slip. He mentioned a restaurant he went to with coworkers, the same place she now knew he'd gone with Tara. He once accidentally said a different name mid-story, then brushed it off as a joke. All these small cracks began to form a pattern. The worst part? He was good at lying. Too good. And she still didn't know how deep it went, or how much more there was to uncover. She couldn't stop thinking about that photo with Tara. No matter how hard she tried to stay calm, her mind kept racing. Every memory, every shared moment started to feel fake. She wanted to scream, to ask him who he really was. But she knew if she pushed too hard too soon, he'd shut down, spin more lies, and she'd lose her chance to get the truth. So she waited, holding her silence like a weapon, even though it was breaking her from the inside. In public, he was the same, affectionate, attentive, always playing the perfect boyfriend. But behind closed doors, his mood started to shift. He got irritated easily. When she asked simple questions, he'd snap or change the subject. Once, she mentioned Tara's name casually, pretending it came up in a random story. For a second, just a second, his face froze. Then he laughed, said he didn't know anyone by that name. But she saw the flicker in his eyes. That was all she needed. She started gathering everything, texts, photos, voice notes. Quietly, carefully. She took screenshots of his messages, saved anything that felt suspicious. She even messaged Tara anonymously from a new account, not to accuse, but to ask. Her message was simple. I think we may be seeing the same guy. Can we talk? No anger, no blame. Just curiosity. Painful curiosity. 3 days passed before Tara replied. They met at a quiet cafe, both nervous, both unsure what to expect. But once they started talking, the pieces came together fast. The same lies. The same excuses. He had told each of them they were the only one. Birthdays. Holidays. Even fake stories about work trips to cover his weekends away. He had been living a double life, switching between them like nothing was wrong. The betrayal ran deep, but there was something even more disturbing. They weren't the only ones. Tara had seen a message pop up once from a different woman, a name neither of them recognized. She hadn't thought much of it at the time, but now it all made sense. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about manipulation, control, lies that went beyond relationships, into something darker. She felt sick. How could someone be so careful, so calculated? It wasn't just about breaking hearts. It felt like he enjoyed it, the hiding, the thrill, the deception. And yet, every time he looked at her, every time he said, I love you, he looked sincere. That was the scariest part. They made a plan. They needed to be smart. If they rushed, he might twist the story, paint them as jealous or unstable. But if they stayed one step ahead, maybe they could finally bring the truth into the light. Every day felt heavier. Every conversation with him like a scene in a play, pretending to smile while her heart was screaming. The moment of truth was coming. She could feel it. She just didn't know yet what it would cost. Just when she thought she had a clear picture of who he was, something happened that flipped everything upside down. It started with a phone call, an unknown number, no name. She almost didn't pick up, but something told her to answer. The voice on the other end was calm, but serious. It was a woman. Not Tara. Someone else. She said, "I know what he's been doing, and you need to be careful." Before she could ask anything, the call dropped. No explanation. No name. Just those words. Her hands trembled as she stared at the phone. Who was that? Another girlfriend? Someone watching? Or was this turning into something bigger than just a messy relationship? The uneasiness she'd felt for weeks now came rushing back all at once, heavier than before. She called Tara immediately and told her everything. Tara went silent, then admitted she had received a similar message the day before. Same number. Same message. Now, it wasn't just about betrayal. It felt like someone else knew what was going on. Someone in the shadows, watching, waiting. And neither of them had any idea why. Determined to get to the bottom of it, she did something bold. She followed him. One Friday evening, she told him she had plans with friends, but instead, she waited near his apartment, hidden in her car. She watched as he got into his car and drove off. She followed at a distance, heart racing with every turn. He wasn't heading toward the city or to a restaurant. He drove out of town, into a quiet, unfamiliar neighborhood. Then he pulled into the driveway of a small house, one she had never seen or heard about. She parked down the street and waited, heart pounding. After 20 minutes, the front door opened. A woman stepped out. Not Tara. Not the woman from the photo. Someone else entirely. Older, maybe in her mid-30s, holding a toddler in her arms. That moment broke something inside her. She wasn't just dealing with lies. There was another life. A child. A possible family. And she had no idea how long this had been going on or who this woman was. The man she trusted had built multiple realities, all while looking her in the eyes and saying she was his only. When she got home, she couldn't stop shaking. She looked through his social media, texts, every memory now crawling with doubt. And that's when she saw it, a hidden photo in an old tagged post. The same woman, the same child. It wasn't recent. It was from 2 years ago, which meant he'd been lying since the very beginning. Her plan with Tara wasn't enough anymore. They weren't just exposing a cheater. They were uncovering a man living a life of secrets, each more damaging than the last.
And now someone else was watching them.
Calling them, warning them. The stakes were higher than she ever imagined. And she hadn't even told him what she knew yet. ChatGPT said she couldn't hold it in anymore. The lies, the layers, the double life. It all came crashing down that Sunday afternoon when he showed up at her place, smiling like nothing had happened. She let him in, offered coffee like always, but her hands were steady now. This time, she had the truth. She sat across from him, looked him in the eye, and simply said, "I know." At first he played dumb, confused smile, asking what she meant. But then she listed it all, the photo with Tara, the house, the woman with the child, the phone call from the stranger. She watched the color drain from his face. No anger, no yelling, just silence. That scared her more than anything. He leaned back, eyes cold, and finally spoke. "You weren't supposed to find out." That one sentence said everything. He didn't apologize, didn't explain, just stood up, said, "I guess this is done," and walked out.
No emotion. No regret.
She sat there frozen, not because she was heartbroken, but because it confirmed her worst fear. He never cared. Not really. Everything he said and did had been a performance. But just when she thought the story was over, Tara called. Her voice was shaking. The woman with the toddler? She wasn't just someone he was hiding. She was his ex-wife. And the child his daughter. He had kept it all a secret, claiming to be single, free, honest. But he wasn't. He had a family. One he'd walked away from and never mentioned. And worse, the strange calls? They weren't from another girlfriend. They were from the ex-wife. She had found out about them. About all the women. And she was the one warning them, not out of jealousy, but to protect them from making the same mistake she did. She had trusted him once too. The final twist wasn't another lie. It was the truth. He'd done this before. More than once. And if they hadn't uncovered it now, he would have done it again. After everything came to light, the silence that followed felt heavier than all the lies combined. She didn't cry like she thought she would. Instead, there was a strange calm, the kind that comes after finally seeing the full picture. The betrayal ran deep, but knowing the truth gave her something she hadn't felt in weeks: clarity. Tara and the ex-wife kept in touch with her. They weren't just connected by the same man anymore, they were connected by the same wound. Over time, their conversations shifted from anger to healing. They shared stories, helped each other laugh again, even if it felt strange at first. It reminded her that healing doesn't always come from walking alone. Sometimes, it's the ones who walked through the same storm that help you find solid ground. She blocked him on everything. No dramatic messages. No final phone calls. Just distance, the kind that protects peace. And with time, she started to rebuild. Not just her trust in people, but trust in herself.
En her gut.
In the quiet voice that had warned her from the beginning, the experience changed her. She no longer blamed herself for being trusting. Trust wasn't her weakness, his lies were. And that was the difference. It's easy to doubt yourself after being manipulated, but she learned to separate her kindness from his deceit. She didn't regret loving him. She regretted thinking he was someone worth that love. The biggest takeaway? Secrets always surface. No matter how well someone hides them, the truth finds its way out. And when it does, it may hurt, but it also frees you. Today, she shares her story not to shame him, but to remind others, you are not alone. If something feels off, pay attention. If someone makes you question your worth, step back. And if you find the courage to walk away, even when it hurts, that is strength. She trusted him. She was wrong. But in the end, that mistake led her back to herself. And that's where the Betrayal story begins.